Hey everybody, welcome back to the Slime Fun Survival episode here on the channel. I'm your host Boomer tonight, and I mean literally tonight because it's been all day long just thinking about this. After clearing out 36 chunks for apparently an insane reason, I'm still trying to figure out why I did it, we're going to get building on the massive Supreme Iron Golem Common Head Farm. Now, I cleared out 36 chunks. And in doing so, I probably went over the edge. And I was trying to figure out how could I maximize the capacity, maximize the timing, and I realized that I was just kind of overthinking things. And so I came up with, and I know somebody will definitely say it's not the most efficient farm design, and I really don't care. I came up with something that will work. It'll give me 80 individual Iron Golem farms that will be able to mine and capture common heads, and then I'll be able to send everything back that way via either some tesseracts, or maybe I'll extend cargo. I probably won't extend cargo. I'll probably go tesseracts. But before I can start even to build that, I have to put the room together, which means I'm going to lay somewhere in the neighborhood of 55,000 blocks, not including the ceiling because I don't have a design yet. I've got something for the floor, I've got something for the walls. It's not the sexiest thing I've ever built. It's not the most detailed thing I've ever built. It's something to have this room functional, because that's all I really care about, is having the room functional with a nice aesthetic look to it. Remember, if you hadn't seen what the room looked like beforehand, I had the diorite and granite background against an alternation of polished andesite and smooth stone bricks. Matter of fact, you'll still be able to see parts of it way up there. So it was a nice build. It was decent for the size of the room. It fit the room, right? It was a design designed to fit the room, and that's what this next one is. And so I need to find a spot where I can lay down all my resources. I actually have 6 large backpacks full of resources to get this room done. And so that's what we are going to do. So let me just kind of get out of the way here, start putting some stuff down, and we're going to get to work on laying out this new room. Okay, so the room is done, and I'm telling you, I am never doing this again. This alone took over 7 days just to build the room. Um, when I started building the walls and realized I had a few mistakes as I'm going up, you might have caught one or two of the hiccups in the video. I had some at 1 block wide, some at 2 block wide that weren't the same all the way up. And then I started making those up there, and some were in spruce instead of dark oak. I think I did 3 of them in spruce and the rest in dark oak, so I had to go back and fix it. Then I started building the iron golem towers, and I got all 10 of them done. And I fired them all up. And you know what happened? Iron golem spawned, but a few other problems too. I had the spacing 20 blocks apart to make sure that the golems didn't get caught by the villagers above. It created a problem with spacing for cargo. And so I had to drop it to 18, which means I had to rebuild every single one of these. And then I realized the mob tech collectors, where I initially had them, let's see, let's get over to creative so you guys can see this. Initially I had the mob tech collectors right here. Well, what's 4 blocks away from right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, the zombie. I got like 7 zombies got killed from the mob tech collectors. So I had to rebuild that. Just redoing this alone took 2 days. Simply because I had to tear it all down, remove it, redesign it. In this case, I had to redesign these, putting up all the cargo nodes. So I got all these done. And then some really silly idea came to my mind talking to somebody. Why did I build all of this? When I could have simply put down 1,000 iron golem assemblers and mob tech collectors. Now, 1,000 mob tech collectors will take forever, but you get the idea, right? I could have done iron golem assemblers, which guarantee an iron golem spawns every 30 seconds. This doesn't. Even though I got the villagers frightened, and I do have about a 9.5-second timer down here to try to keep it as fast as possible, sometimes all 3 villagers are synced, and when they try to summon, or that time frame, that 10-second window to try to summon a golem in, that countdown, right, they miss it because they're not in the same time. So it's not 100%. It's probably 90 to 95% of the time that each one spawns a golem. The only problem with the iron golem assembler theory is to use the mob tech collector. Let's say I wanted to do 4 of them at once. Let's kind of drop down here real quick. So I put the tech collector here, iron golem assemblers, 1 on each side. So it spawns 4 at once. It grabs all 4 golems at the same time and kills them, but it only gives you 1 common golem head. It's a bug that, and I don't want to call it a bug because it is, but it's not. I think the original intent of the dev was that you were going to catch 1 mob each time and not multiple. And so I don't think the code really checks for multiple. I think it finds it, kills it, and then produces 1. So it's something that needs to be fixed inside of Supreme. But having said that, I have over 70,000 common heads sitting up. My net gain right now is over 2,000 per hour, and that's after producing the golems, you know, the levels 2, 3, 4, and so on. So let's kind of go back here. Yes, I'm using cargo for now to move items back and forth. I probably should talk about that bridge. I know I've showcased different versions and different tutorials of the bridge, but let's talk about how this bridge works. So I have 2 chests activating as my bridge. This is one cargo network, this is the other. So this one drops the mob techs in here, pulls the heads out. This one drops the heads in and pulls the mob techs out. So it sends it all the way back. And I moved my spawn chunks to, where was it? Right about here. That way all of that would stay loaded and enough of this other side would stay loaded when I'm not in the area. So I can be back here and the items pass back and forth. So actually, surprisingly, that's actually full, but so is the storage unit. But I'm getting heads coming in. I have 71,000 heads. You just saw 5 more appear. So where I have my spawn chunks and all that, they're working. It's moving items back and forth. The challenge I have now is to figure out how many of our, the tech mutation chambers can I put together. The challenge I'm running into is getting cores of death. And right now, it's not even, you know, blaze rods or cores of life with the honey bottles. It's resources. One of the challenges I have right now is getting cod and salmon, so I'm probably going to add another 24 to 48 cloches producing fish to get that production up, or I might tap into my Guardian farm up there, bring the cod down, and then add maybe like 30 or 28 EMC tech materializers for salmon. I don't have to dematerialize a whole lot, so it's pretty cheap. But to make the tech mutation chamber 3s, if I remember right, the math is somewhere around 10 or 11 cores of death each. I think it's 10. I'd have to go back and double check and do all the math. It's expensive as heck on cores of death. And so I could make 70 level 1s at 20%, or I could make 10 level 3s at 80%. Now, the math says, right, if I can make 70 at 10%, okay, so 1 out of 10 tries, I get 7. Or 80% with 10 of them, I get 8. So in theory, or 20%, I'm sorry, so I should get 14 versus 8. So in theory, the 70 level 1s should produce a little bit more. But honestly, I'd rather ramp up the production of the cores and go after the level 3s for the higher success rate to go a little bit faster long term. And that's what we're playing, is a long game. So the other challenge we have left is the tower. Now, I love this thing. It made my life a lot easier in the beginning. It's now actually become a little bit of a burden, and I'll tell you why. There's 252 items in this tower. Not all 252 need to be on all 4 networks. For example, network 1 that produces dust, ingots, and alloys only needs like 60 items. So I'm going to try to find a way to set this tower up so that certain items are only on certain networks without moving anything too drastically. Like the tower will still have its shape, but if I need to dislocate, let's say this is network 1, these monitors right here, and this is network 2. If I need it only on network 2, I'll break this bridge and I'll put white glass there or something else to indicate that while monitors are connected, they're not going to be able to move items. I'll have to isolate it. So instead of bridges, it'll be glass or something else. And it essentially removes it, right? It's like the bridge isn't there. Or I might just remove all the monitors and put glass in here. Either way, it will allow me to reduce all the extra bridges and monitors that are stored on each network. So in other words, over here, if I want to ramp up my production of magical lumps because I need to ramp up the robot production, I can add another 120 machines or so and not have to worry about going over my network capacity. This is definitely going to be a project. It's going to take me some time to figure it out. I've got a rough idea in my head what it'll look like as far as organization. A lot of stuff will get moved for simplicity. You know, anything that needs to be on all 4 layers will go towards the bottom. Anything, or network, anything that only needs 1 network will go towards the top. And then I've got to figure it out from there. I might even be able to leave everything where they are, with some exceptions. The lower levels for sure will stay together. But I think what I'm going to do is just do a little bit of basic pen and paper and write down everything that's being used on each network, and maybe do it in a spreadsheet, organize it, compare it across the board, figure out which ones need to be on every network. The question mark is network 4, which is not in use yet. What's going here? I don't know. So we'll have to see. I might leave everything on network 4 for now and then isolate those later. I don't know. We only have the 3 to play with at the moment. So I have a lot of work ahead of me. I'm going to go get started. But with that, I am going to wrap this up. I do want to say thank you for those that have been watching. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys appreciate the time and effort it went into just to build that room and the sheer amount of time it took just to put this together. So thank you guys. Don't forget though, when you're playing Slime Fun, man, go Boomer or go home. See you later.